Hi everybody, it's Christina Muscari from Pretty Distressed. I'm a furniture flipper, and in today's video, I'm gonna be taking this dated 80s orange oak coffee table, trying to give it new life and make it fit into a home today. So this makeover starts right now. This coffee table is really beat up, but it really caught my eye in the thrift store first because it was on super deal. It was only $20, and for me to be able to get furniture for $20 these days, I will snatch it up. It's in rough shape. My plan is to sand down the top and try to do a natural stain top. It's so beat up around the body, I think I'm gonna have to paint that. But what's really cool about this piece, it has one big drawer. I've never seen this on a coffee table. This actually comes all the way out. So you're gonna have tons of storage for games or movies, video games, stuff like that. So I think this is gonna be a really usable piece for someone. The first thing I'm gonna do, you guys know, I'm gonna clean it to get all this grease and grime and yuck off with my Dixie Belle White Light Beam. Now that I've cleaned the coffee table, I'm gonna rinse it with some clean water. I'm going to strip back the finish on the top, so I'm using a 80 grit sanding screen to get that off. This top had a lot of varnish on it, and I sanded and sanded for a bit and then realized this was going to take forever, so then I started going a different route. I decided to use a carbide scraper here before I start sanding because this varnish is really thick and I'm working with oak, so this blade is not going to scrape or dent or scratch my wood. You can see just how much of that varnish I'm getting off, and that's going to make sanding a whole lot easier. This scraper is not going to work on every single project. This honestly is the first time I've used it on a project where it has really helped. This varnish just responded really well to it. If you're working with a soft wood, I would stay away from using this because you could really gouge your surface up. This is a veneer top, but the carbide scraper was not making any dings or nicks in it. It was really just taking off that varnish, so it worked really well for this project. You don't have to have a fancy sander and a dust extractor like I do. I obviously work on a lot of furniture and this has been a great investment for me. But if you have an orange oak table like this that you want to sand back, an orbital sander, just a power sander that costs around $80 will work as well. It just might take you a little bit longer. I have refinished plenty of things with just a regular orbital sander, and you can always plug it into a shop vac if you have one. I wanted to show you on my Surf Prep sander. Surf Prep now has this Pro Foam squishy abrasive, and it's different color. It's red as opposed to the yellow you've seen me use. So this is redesigned to be tougher, last longer, and work even better. This Pro Foam is also available in 5-inch discs, so you could attach this to your orbital sander if you have one. The Pro Foam is designed to sand while still maintaining the curve of your furniture. After I was done sanding the top, I removed all the hardware off of the drawers and I switched to a fine foam pad to scuff sand the body before I add paint. Scuff sanding is just going to rough up my surface a little bit and help with my paint adhesion. There was some acrylic paint on the body as well, so I took a paint scraper to remove that. After scuff sanding the body, I went back to the top with a medium grit sandpaper. I'm just going to run this over the entire top to smooth things out a little bit more. Once I was done sanding, I used a tack cloth to remove any dust. So much sanding. I'm finally done sanding the top, so I'm ready to stain this. I'm going to do a chalk paint wash to stain this because I'm going to use the same color to paint the body and cheat, so I don't have to sand this entire thing because I'm already tired of sanding. So we'll do the wash on the top and then I'm going to paint the body full strength. To do my wash, I'm just going to do half of my paint and half water. I'm going to be using a color called Dried Sage. It's a really pretty neutral beige that has some green undertones. Before I add my paint wash to my top, I spray it down and mist it with water completely. This is just going to help your open time of your paint. I decided to paint the entire surface here before I wiped any of it back. And when I'm doing a wash, I like to paint with the grain. And because of the diamond pattern of this table, I had to work in sections. You could always stain this top as well. I prefer to do paint washes like this because I can control the color better. I can make it match the body when I go to paint the body. And I just like working with water-based products versus working with a oil-based stain that is going to have a lot of vapors, that has a long dry time, and then you're going to have rags that can be flammable. I just find this is a lot easier for me. Once I get all my paint on, I just use a lint-free rag to wipe back any excess. And I always go with the grain for a natural look. With the etching around this table, I grabbed a little artist brush and pushed a little bit of the paint in there and wiped back any excess to camouflage that line. And now that the top is finished, I'm going to use that same paint color full strength to paint the body. I'm using my mister to make it pretty smooth. I don't want this super textured, but I don't have to have it super smooth either. This is just going to be a nice medium in between finish. I could have sanded the entire coffee table down and done the paint wash all over it, but that would have taken forever, and honestly, I don't think I could sell it for that much more if I did sand that down. If it's yours and you wanted to do that, please by all means take the time to do that. But this is kind of a cheat way to have that stained look on top, then paint the body the same color. When it's all done, it's going to look like one cohesive piece, and I'm going to save a lot of time. I ended up doing 2 coats of paint on the body and just waited a couple of hours in between coats. The bottom of the drawer was a little beat up, so I used my paint scraper to scrape away any goo. I cleaned it, and then I grabbed some Big Mama's Butter in Orange Grove, my favorite scent. This is just gonna freshen this up, make it smell a whole lot better, and look good too. My coffee table is dry. It has 2 coats on the base and it's ready to seal. So I want to keep this beautiful matte natural looking finish. So I'm going to use Dixie Belle Clear Coat in flat, and I'm going to apply it with the same brush that I painted with. You can do 2 to 3 coats for the best protection on here and just wait a couple hours in between coats. I like the original hardware on this coffee table, so I'm just adding a little bit of paint so they'll match. So we have a little problem solving to do. Even though I prepped this correctly, I have a little bit of bleed through coming through on this drawer here. I either broke the finish when I was scuff sanding, or there was maybe some pledge and oils in here. So we're getting a little bit of tan and bleed through. It's not all over the whole piece. So I'm gonna try to spot correct this first. So I have grabbed my Boss. This is a stain blocker and an odor blocker. This is in clear since I've already put my paint on here. I'm just gonna get a little bit of this to try to block in the stain. And once this dries, we can add more paint over top and see if we can get that stain to go away. This is why it's always a piece of insurance to prime the entire piece, because if I would have primed this to start off with Boss, this wouldn't have happened. But there are ways to spot correct and spot treat after we see the issue, so that's what I'm doing right now. Now that I've let my Boss dry, I can go ahead and apply my paint, and then once my paint dries, I can go and put the top coat on top of that. Once everything was dry, I was ready to add my hardware back on. Just to remind you, here is the 80s orange oak coffee table we started out with, and here it is after. I can't believe this is the same coffee table. This is so beautiful. It's like coastal, modern. I have it in my living room right now, but I'm gonna try not to keep it. I am gonna put this up on market, so I will keep you guys posted on how much it sells for. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks for being here, and I will be back with another one soon.